We're picking up in Ruth chapter 3, verse 1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughters, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Now, is not Boaz our kinsman with whose maids you were? Behold, he winnows barley at the threshing floor tonight. Wash yourself, therefore, and anoint yourself, and put on your best clothes, and go to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. It shall be when he lies down that you shall notice the place where he lies, and you shall go and uncover his feet and lie down. Then he will tell you what you shall do." Naomi gives very practical advice to her daughter-in-law, who needs and wants a husband. And that is, you've been working really hard in the fields. He has seen you, in your scrubby grubbies, kind of looking a mess. And he took you on that little date. If you remember, they had a little lunch date. And then things kind of grew cold, and Boaz hasn't made a move. And so Naomi's giving her good practical advice, which is, it's time for you to make a move. My daughter-in-law, Ruth, it's time for you to get your hair done, get your nails done, get beautified, put on your best clothes, and go to him strategically when he has eaten and drank and he's happy and he's resting. There's some wisdom in that, knowing when to ask, knowing when to approach someone for something that you want. And although he was a person of God, it is important to notice that it is important that we do take care of our physical appearance, that we are, but especially men, are very visual. And so there's nothing wrong with wanting to take care of your appearance and to present yourself with the best foot forward. There's nothing wrong with spending time and effort on how you look, especially as you're trying to get a man interested in you. But we should also continue on with that. We don't want to do a switch and bait, try looking good on all the dates, and then as soon as we get them to marry us, we just let it all go. And it's important to keep that up too. But call me unspiritual, call me what you will, but this is what the Word of God says. So I'm just preaching the truth here. Okay, so what does Ruth do? Verse 5. All that you say, I will do. So she and did according to all that her mother-in-law had commanded her. When Boaz had eaten and drank, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of the grain, and she came secretly and uncovered his feet and lay down. It happened in the middle of the night that the man was startled and bent forward, and behold, a woman was lying at his feet. He said, "Who are you?" And she answered, "I'm Ruth, your maid. So spread your covering over your maid, for you are a close relative." That's also known as a kinsman redeemer. In that day and time, you needed to have a relative of the deceased husband to marry you, and he was able to do that. So essentially, Naomi is asking him to marry her. How assertive, how modern. But she was bold and she asked, and I love that about her. Sometimes in life, we need to be bold and we need to ask for what we want. And we won't see anything happen in our life until we start to assert ourselves. We see throughout her story that God blessed her, but it was because she put herself in the time and the right place at the right time, right? God providentially orchestrated her circumstances, what seemed to be average, normal circumstances. He she so happened to be in Boaz's field. He so happened to favor her. She so happened to have her reputation, and the right people talking about her in the right rooms. And I believe that for you, that some of you here, God has a purpose and a plan for your life, and your name is being brought up in rooms that you haven't even been to yet. But God wants you there. This is like the story of Ruth. Boaz had heard about her. There was a buzz in the town already about her before she got there. But we see that throughout her story, she was doing the right thing. She was working hard. She was, showing up early and staying late. She, went to lunch. She surrounded herself with the right people. And then she asked for what she wanted. Sometimes we need to assert ourselves to get what we want. Then he said, "May you be blessed of the Lord, my daughter. You have shown your last kindness to be better than your first, by not going after young men, whether poor or rich. Now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you whatever you ask, for all my people in the city know that you are a woman of excellence. Now it is true, I am a close relative. However, there is a relative closer than I. Remain this night, and when morning comes, if he will redeem you, good, let him redeem you. But if he does not wish to redeem you, then I will redeem you." Verse 15, again he said, "Give me the cloak that is on you and hold it." So she held it and measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her. Then she went into the city. So not only does Boaz say, "I'm going to redeem you," so Ruth is going to get what she wants. I mean, unless this other guy steps up. But he also is like, here's some grain, here's some food, basically like, here's some money to take with you so that I know that you are well taken care of while I'm not there to provide for you. We know that Boaz is a good man, and this is something we need to look for in men, ladies. When we are looking for a significant other, we need to look for a Boaz. We need to look for someone who is strong, who is successful, who has good character, who will take care of us. You do not need to settle for someone less than because you think no one better is going to come along, because that is just not true. You are going to attract who you are. So whatever kind of spouse you want, ladies and gentlemen, whatever kind of spouse you want, that is the kind of person you need to be, because you are going to attract who you are. So remember that. If you're going to a bar, you're going to attract a barfly. If you're going to the clubs, you're going to attract a club hopper. Stop going to those places thinking you're going to get a good and godly person from them, because good and godly people aren't hanging out at those places. Start going to church. Start going to the singles groups. Start being the best version of yourself so you can attract what you want. Okay, now we're going to look on to chapter 4, verse 1. Now Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there. And behold, the close relative of whom Boaz spoke was passing by. So he said, "Turn aside, friend, sit down here." And he turned aside and sat down. He took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, "Sit down." So they sat. Then he said to the closest relative, "Naomi, who has come back from the land of Moab, has to sell the piece of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. So I thought to inform you, saying, buy it before those who are sitting here and before the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if not, tell me that I may know. For there is no one but you to redeem it, and I am after you." And he said, "I will redeem it." And then Boaz said, "On the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of the deceased, in order to raise the name of the deceased on his inheritance. The closest relative said, I cannot redeem it for myself because I would jeopardize my own inheritance. Redeem it for yourself. You may have my right of redemption, for I cannot redeem it. I think Boaz was just jumping for joy right there. Boaz did not want this man to redeem it. He wanted Ruth, and I know it because he was already thinking about it and already had calculated and wondered who was ahead of him and who would have the first right of refusal for purchasing Ruth and the land. And I think just remember this. Sometimes a rejection from somebody it's God's redirection, and it's for something better. No doubt was Boaz a better fit for Ruth. No doubt. More godly man, a more wealthy man, a better charactered man than this guy was for Ruth. We know that because Boaz is willing to look past the fact that Ruth is a Moabite, that she came from incest, a family of or lineage of incest. He can look past the fact that she had idol worship in her background and that she came from a place that just wasn't a good place. It was very evil and corrupt. Boaz could look past all that. That shows the kind of man he is. I want a man who is strong and who can make up for their own mind. If I'm a person or you're a person that is good, right? We don't need somebody who's so weak that they're worried about what everyone else thinks. Because if God has chosen you, that's all that matters. Boaz is a man of strength, and I think that's pretty exciting for Ruth. I think the reason that Boaz can recognize and see past Ruth's Moabite blood is partially because his mother was Rahab, and Rahab, if you look back in the story of Joshua, she was actually a prostitute and helped the children of God take over the promised land, and she converted to worship the God of Abraham. And so Boaz came from a lineage that was kind of how do we put this? Not perfect. And God specializes in using people who are imperfect to do amazing and great, mighty things. So I love that. On to verse 11. All the people who were in the court and the elders said, we are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, both of whom built the house of Israel, and may you achieve wealth in Ephrathah and become famous in Bethlehem. So these people are giving their blessing and prophesying essentially over Boaz and Ruth and saying, I hope you become a house full of kids and that your namesake will live on and on and on, that you will be blessed with wealth and fame. We need to remember that children are a gift from God, that every life is sacred, and that we are meant to be fruitful and multiply, and stop looking at children as a difficulty or uh, something that is an imposition, because every life is sacred and children truly are a gift from the Lord. Verse 13. So Boaz took Ruth and she became his wife, and he went into her, and the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. Then the women said to Naomi, blessed is the Lord, who has not left you without a redeemer today, and may his name be famous in Israel. And let me tell you, his name was famous in Israel because they named that child Obed. And Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David, King David, who is in the lineage of Jesus Christ. So God blessed this family of Ruth and Boaz and their children that were to come. And the reason that the book of Ruth is even in the Bible is because David, this was written during the reign of King David, and King David had Moabite blood, which, if you look back in Deuteronomy, the Moabites were not allowed to be in any way, shape, or form part of the Israelite culture for up to 10 generations. And so the fact that God called David to be king, he would have been disqualified based upon um, based upon the culture alone. He would have been disqualified by the fact that he was a Moabite, even third generation removed. And so this book was written there to justify David's rule and reign, and to say, hey, yeah, look, he is a Moabite, but Ruth is a godly woman, and she turned from that culture and served the one true God. So that's why the book of Ruth is in the Bible. And also, I want to point out the fact that we see the word redeemer 23 times in this book. Out of 85 lines, the word redeemer is 23 times in here. Boaz is a picture of Jesus Christ. Ruth is a picture of us, that once we were living in darkness, we were living in sin, and through a redeemer, we were brought into right relationship with the one true God. So we could see the picture of the gospel laid out through the story of Ruth. And I just want to say that if you're feeling like you're in heartbreak today, that I hope that seeing Ruth's story played out for you has given you some sort of hope and some sort of healing. And as we look over her life, we can see how she handled it, that she took her pain and God turned it into purpose as Ruth surrendered to God and his plan for her life. She started working hard and doing the right thing. And as she did that, God, in his providential way, brought about divine connections. He gave her favor. He gave her provision, not just enough, not just so it was just barely enough to scrape by. No, he always gave her more. He gave her extra. And then he sent her a redeemer. He sent her a beautiful marriage, a family, children. She went from having no children, being unable to have children before, to being blessed with at least we know one child. And God rewrote her story. So I just want to encourage you today, no matter how bleak your life seems at this moment, God can always rewrite your story when you hand him the pen.